might not have been happy with some grades. On later assignments, I fixed the mistakes I had made, and it also made me realize the things I need to change in the future.
And I learned that I was actually improving on my studies and not just staying the same. I thought that I was staying the same, but I wasn't, so that's good.
I learned that in subjects that I feel like I struggle in more, I learn what I am succeeding in at it and what I've grown in.
The value was the student getting the experience of leading a meeting, and it gave her more individual ownership of her learning overall. I love the goals, the steps, and the support section.
She felt this was a great tool for her to self-evaluate and self-motivate. It also gave her concrete steps and goals to improve her learning experience.
It was that my parents, they always understand about stuff in my school, but I think the most meaningful part of this was that they could see what my interests were and came up with ways to help me expound upon those interests.
Enjoyed showing my mom the other side of the classroom, like the student's point of view.
I liked that I could talk to my parents instead of just saying, like them to us asking how was school, and I just say, or like they ask what did you learn, and I just say, oh, you know, nothing. But they actually got to see what I was learning.
I always told my parents about my grades, but through the student-led conferences, they got to see the growth that I've experienced throughout the school year.
Meaningful for me to be able to show my parents everything from my perspective.
Hearing things from her perspective and letting her be the leader was very good for her. I think it was valuable for her having to look at things at a high level and not concentrating just on the grade.
My son really enjoyed explaining his progress and highlights from each of his classes. He had such a sense of pride to be able to explain it to me. I was very proud of his ability to converse on such an in-depth level.
Student conferences would be nerve-wracking, but now I know that it was nice to be able to speak to my parents about my grades.
I didn't expect to be as comfortable as I was in it, but it was real easy because it was just my mom and my advisor there.
At first I thought these conferences were going to be, I don't know, kind of a hassle to put together, but it actually was pretty easy to come up with the right piece to show my parents, to demonstrate the best way to showcase what I've been learning.
I think that would be kind of like weird and like a lot more difficult than they were, but now I realize that they're really easy and you can connect with your parents.
That they wouldn't work at all and that my parents would just get mad at me on the spot, but they actually worked really well. So I was surprised about that.
My daughter actually had to prepare for the conference and identify her greatest accomplishments in each class and challenges. She had to set goals and put time into what was important to her in regard to her education, instead of me telling her what her priorities should be.
I think the purpose was not only to understand the grades, but mostly concentrate on how and what the learning experience has been and how they are taking constructive feedback and using it for future exercises.
I really appreciated the student-led conferences. I think it helped Meredith because she had to own all of her work, you know, whether the grade was what she wanted or not what she wanted, she had to retell her work for the year. And I think that's really important, especially if we're focusing on learning versus grades here at Randolph. And I think that was helpful for both of us because it allowed her to review what she's been working on and make connections that I don't know that she saw before.
I thought it opened up all sorts of communication between child, parent, and teacher. I think it makes the child and parent more accountable for their actions. I thought it was a great way to address all that is going on with your child in school. I think it makes the child own it all and hopefully want to push themselves to do the best that they can do.
I used to think that it was really awkward with the student-led conferences, but then after I did it, I realized it was actually kind of natural and it just made sense for the student to be talking to their advisor and their parents about their grades, and it was even kind of fun.